I had a customer call me up. It was a referral from a friend, said I might know how to work on his guitar. Well, it's an acoustic guitar, and he said it needed a neck reset. And I'm going, oh, I don't know if I can do that, but bring it over, I'll look at it anyway. Well, when I got it and started doing some research on it, turned out to be an easier job than I thought it was going to be. And I'm going to tell you how to reset the neck on this Taylor guitar. First off, I want to start by telling you that if you are the original owner of one of these guitars and it's not been abused, you can get it reset for nothing. So don't take this to somebody except for the certified Taylor technicians, and you can get this done for nothing as long as you're the original owner and the guitar has not been abused. This guitar was a used guitar. Now when he bought the guitar, well, this being left-handed, I really can't play it. But he played up here and he thought everything just seemed fine. Once he bought it and got it home, he realized the action up here was way too high and realized that the bridge by some previous owner had been filed down as low as it could possibly go, which is a no-no, and the action was still too high. So we're going to assess this guitar and put it back to factory specs. So I went to Taylor's own website and found an article assessing a Taylor guitar setup. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos of people doing the work on this guitar and found out that it was a bolt-on neck and you use these replaceable shims. But you can only get these shims if you are a Taylor guitar repairman. So after reading this article, I checked the neck for straightness, made sure it had the proper relief, used the action gauge. The action at the 12th fret was just way too high. I sent an email to Taylor and asked them what was the correct bridge that should have been used on this guitar, and they told me what to order, and I got it within 1 day. This is for a left-handed guitar. Set up the compensated bridge for this guitar. The action on the bass side is right at 120 thousandths. Come on. Yeah, it's over 120 at the 12th fret. So the action on the treble side here at the 12th fret is right at 90 thousandths. So the bridge that was on this guitar, it's below the surface on this end. According to Taylor's specs, that's supposed to stick up at 1/16 of an inch right here and an 1/8 over on this end. So the saddle in the front here is the one that has been lowered too low. I'm going to bring this down and hopefully you can see it. There you go. Oops, put it in the right way. You need the proper height saddle in there, otherwise you won't get the right tone and volume out of your pickups. Okay, I'm using a straight edge, and according to the specs, this should clear, and it's hitting it pretty good. And on the outside edge, that should be almost at the right height, or maybe a 2/1000ths below is all. So on the inside of this guitar, covering up the bolts that hold on the neck, there's a sticker. I'm going to heat that up a little bit with a hair dryer, and according to what I saw on YouTube, it should pull off. All right, I had a little heat on it with the hair dryer. Let's see if I can get it out of there. On the inside of this guitar, there's 3 bolts, one coming up this way. It uses an Allen wrench, a 3/16. Got loose, I'll remove it. Little Allen. Now, the other 2 bolts that go in this way are 11 millimeter. Okay, it just took maybe a half a turn to get it loose. And from there, I should be able to turn it by hand. All right, we got the neck off. So there's 2 shims in this guitar, one on the end, it's numbered 4. The one on the top here is -2. So the difference is 6. So by watching the YouTube videos of repairmen working on these, you can get these where they change the angle, and they always got to be 6 apart. So whatever you go to here, if you got a 10, this has to be a 4. I don't really know the significance of the 6. What I believe is happening here is that this is 90 degree. These are the surfaces that meet up to the shims. So I believe these shims are creating a 90 degree, and depending on what angle you need to get, it'll shift them. So apparently on the end shim, I have 98 thousandths of an inch on both ends. And on the shim that goes on top of the guitar, it's right at 71 thousandths of an inch. So my shims are apparently flat. So here's the end of the guitar without the shim in it. And you can see that it's a little deeper on this end than at this end. So it's got a built-in angle in it. And this shim is only holding it where it needs to be. And it's not changing the angle because it's flat. If I use a 90 degree device here, that's 90 degree. I'm gonna have to tilt it back to get the action lowered. So before I go doing any reshaping of these shims, I want to do some experiments by using tape and thin metal shim stock to get the angle I need. So on this shim, I've added some thin metal and some tape, and it equals up to about 123 thousandths. So whatever I add to this one, I'm going to have to add to this one so that it equals 90 degrees. I'm going to put that in there with the added shims facing towards the body. I'll put the neck back on there and see how the action comes out. Okay, I've had this neck off and on several times. I've got the action to where I want it. On the bass side, it's right at 90 thousandths. On the treble side, it's right at 70 thousandths. I think it's going to work out great. So now I'm going to take the tape and thin metal shims out, and I'm going to make some using this thin mahogany that I cut with my table saw. So with my table saw, I took a piece of mahogany, because that's what the original ones look like, is mahogany, and cut some thin stock of it, traced the original ones onto these blocks, and made my own. Now these are over thick, and I'm going to make these shims wedged to where I get the proper pitch on them. So I've created a jig. I'm going to use my drum sander. It's got 2 screws in here that when you adjust through here and bring them up, you can get an angle on here. There'll be another screw go down here to hold it there. That's how I'm going to get the taper. So I'm taking the angle finder and I'm going to calibrate it to 0. Take the wedge that I had made, see what angle I get. 0.7 degree. So I've got that adjusted at 0.7. So I'm going to take my wedge, double side tape it on there, and run it through the thickness sander till it matches. So here's the factory shims that I've added tape and metal to get a taper. They started out as basically flat. Here's the ones I made. I've sanded them to have an angle. One end is about 20 thousandths thicker than the other. So we'll install those, make sure we have a 90 degree angle on them, and put the neck back on and test fit it. The test fit worked out, so let's get the sticker back in. Doesn't look bad. So I've replaced the saddle and the shims in this guitar. I got it back to factory specs really close. And I think the customer's going to be real happy with the action down here. And let's see. I hope I gave a good enough explanation of how the shims work in this guitar. It's the first time I've ever done one like it. If you got one of these that you're the original owner though, take it back to an authorized tailor repairman to get it fixed right. Be sure to like, share with your friends, and subscribe.
Marvelous.